Hi, this is Sherry Veronica, and I'm just giving my thoughts on a subject that I saw pop up on Facebook where alumni of the modern high school, the Lewis Lynch High School, they are trying to make this guy out to be a hero. And I'm just looking at history. Let's look at history, shall we? Anyone who came into Barbados in 1918, that's the early 20th century, that's not far out from slavery being abolished. There were still Jim Crow laws all over the place. Yes, you didn't call it Jim Crow in Barbados, but it was there. The colonial master's energy, his stronghold, in 1918 was still there. And that's when this particular fellow came in to Barbados. Lewis Lynch was born in 1918. And during that time in Barbados, as a young person, not him in particular, I'm just talking in general, but during that early part of the 20th century, guys on the islands, Barbados, Jamaica, whatever, but we're talking about Barbados, rape was not part of it wasn't something that was used, or I was raped, or a female may not have used that word, rape. Sexual abuse and being a bully, these things would not have been remedied, would not have been brought up before the courts. So back then, sex trafficking and sex slavery were part of the terrain. Teachers, anyone in the educational field or in politics, they could have done anything back in that time. And girls as young as 10, 11, 12, they had a field day back then. This is history. And when you read about Lewis Lynch, it's a jumbled mess. You see, you have to live in Barbados to understand it. They can speak to you, and confusion is a major part of the way they communicate. They neutralize you. They neutralize your mind. You're no wiser when you're done with a conversation. You have to actively seek to understand what you're seeing, what you're feeling. And when this particular school was met with cancer, a lot of kids got sick. A lot of teachers at the Lewis Lynch school got sick. And then you blame the dry cleaning business that was close by. You're saying, oh, it was contaminated from the dry cleaning business. You have to look at energy. You have to look at vibration, the information you take when an event happens. Back in the day, you would say, oh, these people were superstitious. But there's something to it, even now in the modern day. If you are in a situation where you were, for instance, if you were arrested, you have to look at what did you surround yourself with to make that happen. If you are in a situation where you were shot and injured, you have to look at situations. If you were stabbed, what situation am I in? Or who was I associating myself with when these things happen? You have to look at the energy. So when his school was shut down for whatever reason they gave, they always have to have a reason they shut these things down. You have to look at the energy. Was it part of his energy? Was it part of what he left there, that signature he left there that caused the school to be closed? It's cumulative. It's just not one thing. So when we hear people now talking about Lewis Lynch and making him a hero, is there anyone that was alive when he was alive that can speak clearly and honestly about him? We're talking about truth tellers. We're not talking about anyone coming to neutralize our brains and bring romance to a situation. We are talking about, is there anyone in Barbados who knew him personally, who can speak on his behalf honestly? Because like I say, back in the day when he came into Barbados in the early 20th century, a whole lot of bad people came in, a whole lot of bad energy came in, because it was still the slave energy, it was still the energy of tyrants, it was still the energy of sexual abuse and rape and bully, and it was not a good time to be alive on the islands, and especially being a male. It was really hard to contain certain energies, because when you got into the political scene and when you became an educator and you know people start to look up to you, they didn't question you. You weren't being questioned. You weren't being, tasked with accountability. None of that existed back then. So this guy, Lynch, died at 53. He was pretty young when he died. You see, and what I'm saying to you is, young people and people who are drumming for him to become a hero, do some homework. Now, I know the homework part may be bad because history is all, a lot of lies are told in history. But do some homework and also look at the time that he lived, the time he came in, the time he lived, and what was allowed to happen, and what they turned a blind eye to, and what still persists. It still persists in the school systems in Barbados. And when they talk about sex trafficking, the first thing I think about is school teachers and the schools there. That's the first thing I think about when they talk about matters that are of that particular. Is a stain on society, a stain. So when you're talking about this guy, Lynch, and make him a hero, think carefully about who you're making heroes out of. Think very, very carefully about the males that lived and came in around that time, and they could have been very stained, very, very stained. And for once in your life, just look at history straight on. Stop with the romance. Stop with all the denial. Stop with that. And if you want to make someone a hero, make sure that they do deserve to be a hero. They're not paying for it with money. Make sure that the life that they live is worth them standing on a pedestal and you putting them up there for other people to respect. There are no heroes. This is me now speaking. There are no heroes. There are no heroes. Okay? So I just don't understand why the push to make this particular guy one when history would show that he probably is not worthy to be any such thing. Okay? This is Sherry Veronica.